Good morning and welcome to Fox 29's News Now on this Monday morning. We're going to get started with some local news for you out of East Germantown, where a woman has died after being shot while driving, then crashing into an East Germantown home. Fox 29's Lauren Johnson filed this report.
Yeah, police first get the call at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. last night. They think it's just a traffic accident. What happened was a minivan ended up crashing here on this corner unit front steps right through that row of bushes there. But police had no idea it was more than just that. The 22-year-old driver ended up here on the 600 block of East Price Street. And of course, police were called, and they realized once they got here that the woman was unresponsive. They had no idea that she'd been shot until they noticed the injury. Not sure how many times she was shot or why she was shot, but they did pronounce her dead at 11:07, less than 20 minutes after that original call came in. So now this morning, they have a murder investigation on their hands. Who is this woman? Who wanted her dead? Why? And who shot and killed her? A lot of unanswered questions this morning, but we do know that police are still here on scene just about a block away. We don't know for sure if that's where the original crime scene started of where that woman was shot, but we do know police are in this area. They're hoping to get some more surveillance footage to maybe find out who shot her, what she was doing in this area, and how it all played out, because at this point, they don't know exactly what happened.
And more in local news this weekend. In North Philadelphia, police are looking for the man who tried to abduct a teen in broad daylight. It happened yesterday morning around 10 on the 800 block of North 15th Street. Video shows the suspect grabbing the girl. She then begins to scream and fight until he lets her go.
I heard somebody screaming, a female screaming.
How terrifying is it with two daughters knowing that happened right outside your door?
Oh, it's very terrifying because any one of us could have been out here. I'm glad we caught it, and I hope they get him, and it's crazy.
Anyone who recognizes the suspect shown in surveillance video is urged to contact police. And in political news this morning, President Trump is heading out on the campaign trail as Democrats prepare for their third big debate later this week. Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader has more this morning from Washington.
Well, President Trump heads out on the campaign trail today as Democrats prepare for their third debate later this week.
So Doug Luzader has more in Washington. Good morning, Doug.
Hello, Doug.
Good morning. Probably a boisterous rally for the president this evening in a state where Democrats have been making some inroads.
Air Force One and the president on the move to North Carolina today for a campaign rally. The president building on his own re-election efforts, but also trying to help a GOP candidate win a special congressional election there tomorrow in a state that is no longer solidly Republican.
I really vote by the individual, not so much by party, but I'm tending to be more Democratic now.
And within the GOP, a new challenge for the president.
I think we need to have a conversation on what it means to be a Republican.
Former South Carolina Governor and Congressman Mark Sanford joining at least two other Republicans to challenge the president for the 2020 GOP nomination. They're long shots for sure. The president enjoys broad support within the Republican Party, and some states aren't even holding nominating contests. It's a stark contrast to the wildly open Democratic field. That's candidate Andrew Yang crowd surfing at a rally. A new poll out over the weekend again shows that former Vice President Joe Biden is out in front. But there is a debate this week in Houston as the party tries to narrow down the field, limiting the stage to just 10 Democrats who met specific polling and fundraising standards.
Our field is deep, but we're reaching a point now where voters are differentiating, and that's what it's about. And candidates have to demonstrate progress as we get closer and closer to Iowa and New Hampshire.
This is a fine line for Democratic Party leaders because on the one hand, they really want to get this field narrowed down to a more manageable side. On the other hand, they want to make sure that it all appears on the up and up and that this is a fair and open process. Mike and Alex.
All right.
We'll have to balance that.
All right. Doug, we'll see you again tomorrow, 7.
And in consumer news this morning, White Claw has become so wildly popular that the company reportedly can't keep it stocked on store shelves. Fox Business's Tracy Crosco joined Good Day with more.
Well, White Claw, well, this has turned into a national crisis.
And have you had one? I didn't even.
No.
I hadn't had one either, so I didn't know this was a thing.
I bet Kristen Rogers, who's sitting over, you know what White Claw is? You do. She loves White Claw.
Okay.
Announced there's a nationwide shortage of this, what do they call it? A hard seltzer drink.
So, Tracy, are you a White Claw drinker?
I have never had a White Claw. I have seen it all over social media. A lot of people drink this, and apparently it was the drink of the summer, and people have consumed so much White Claw that, yes, the company is consuming or confirming a nationwide shortage. But this after we have seen sales of the drink grow triple digits over the last year. It is a hard seltzer. A lot of people like it because it's less sugar, less calories than some of the alternatives like beer or even a hard cider. So that is why I think it's really taken off. But yes, millennials taking to social media, talking about this. They are upset. They are frustrated. But White Claw is confirming that they're working on this. They say, quote, "We have the best team in the business working on this." They say they're working around the clock to make sure they can get what supplies they do have out to distributors and working on getting all the supplies back up to normal speed. So
Tracy.
For now, there is a shortage. Millennials are going to have to drink something else in the meantime.
What alcohol would they use? Is it like grain alcohol? Keith, you might know, our stage
You know, I think it's made like beer. That's what I was reading. It's made like beer. So, but I think it's supposed to be like a vodka soda, but with a little splash of flavor.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
so
without too
less
much flavor,
calories.
because it's only 100
Not
calories.
too much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the good stuff, the calories, unfortunately.
Well, I'm behind the times because I'd never heard of White Claw.
I guess we have to wait till it comes back so we can try it. So I guess we need to have a Popeye's chicken sandwich and then a White Claw to wash it down.
If you have both of those, you've hit the lottery.
Yep, that'll sum
because
up.
both are sold out.
That'll sum up summer 2019.
Those
right
are
there.
life goals for me right now, is to wash down a Popeye's chicken sandwich with a White Claw.
Hashtag goals.
Yes. All right, Tracy, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Moving on to your Fox 29 Weather Authority this morning. The Philadelphia area is slated for a seasonable Monday with a mix of sun and clouds with temperatures around 80 degrees. More clouds are expected in the morning before the sun breaks through a bit more around lunchtime. Partly cloudy skies will also dominate the forecast essentially through Wednesday of this week, with precipitation returning to the forecast on Thursday in the form of some afternoon showers. Here we have a look at current temperatures in our area, not even hitting the 60-degree mark up in the Poconos. Meanwhile, just nearing 70 degrees in Lancaster, PA, 73 degrees already here in the city of Philadelphia, and closer to 80 degrees down the shore, 78 for Atlantic City and 76 in Wildwood. And as we look ahead to your 7-day forecast, again, it's going to be a mostly cloudy Monday with some sun in there. Similar conditions for tomorrow as the Phillies are home this week. And again, those late storms are expected to put a rein on our rain-free parade on Thursday. And don't forget to download the latest version of the Fox 29 Weather Authority app to have the latest forecast. And search and recovery efforts continue in the Bahamas after Hurricane Dorian claimed at least 44 lives. That number is expected to grow, with thousands still reported missing. The National Emergency Management Agency, or NEMA, says rumors it is using bulldozers to clear areas where people may be simply aren't true. Officials say when bodies are found, they are treated with respect. Some are making the decision to leave the battered island, while others are choosing to stay, help, and rebuild. And over the weekend, more than 1,100 Bahamians arrived in Palm Beach, Florida after being evacuated via cruise ship.
This is home. As soon as they get power and water running and things start to come in place, I'll be back.
I have to stay. Somebody has to stay to help clean this up.
And in Burlington County, there is a new scam to warn you about if you live in Maple Shade. Folks are getting calls from a group calling itself the Police Officer Association. The group is calling people in Maple Shade asking for donations, but police say it's a fake, and that there is no such organization that benefits the police department. So if you receive the call, just hang up. And city officials have given the green light to a West Philly church to begin demolition on its roof, which was heavily damaged in a fire last month. The roof of the Greater Bible Way Temple had been declared imminently dangerous after the blaze, with fire marshals saying a roofer's torch sparked the fire. The church dates all the way back to 1904. And in Delaware County, Haverford Township Board of Commissioners are expected to discuss the controversial disbandment of the Bon Air Fire Company at a meeting tonight. Last week, we told you about the fire company board that wouldn't accept the resignation of a volunteer fighter after it discovered that the volunteer was a member of the group Proud Boys, an extremist white nationalist hate group. When township officials found out the board rejected the resignation, they disbanded the fire company indefinitely. And more in Dorian news this morning. In Delaware County, it is the last day to donate supplies to the Bahamas to the Delaware County Fraternal Order of Police. Donations will be sent tomorrow. What was supposed to be a 3-day collection for first responders who are working to help with the hurricane response efforts has transitioned into a larger effort, and big donations have poured in from all over the community. So big that they decided to extend the collection. And instead of sending the supplies with a 6-man team, they will now send them straight to the Bahamas tomorrow.
We'll wait to hear from National FOP. They run a National Disaster Relief.
And if you wish to donate, you do have until this afternoon. Just head to the Fulcroft Police Department on Elmwood Ave or the District Attorney's Office in the County Courthouse.
You guys have done this before?
Yeah, it's right here.
A pot bust.
Oh yeah, all that weed.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
We'll wait to hear from National FOP. They run a National Disaster Relief.
And on Good Day this morning, we bring you Sally, the salad maker. How a new vending machine offers custom salads, and it's a first for Pennsylvania, and we have a lot of questions about this one.
My best salads every day out of a vending machine. I know that sounds stupid, but it actually is happening. There's Lauren.
It is, guys. So we made this one before. We showed you. Now, we can say Sally's not really good at presentation, but if you look down deep in here, she's got everything you need on a Southwestern chicken salad. Bill LaSalle, like the university, joining me. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. A month this has been here, and it's gotten rave reviews.
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic addition to all the services that we already provide, especially for our midnight and overnight shifts, as well as on the weekends as well when we're closed down.
Now, you're going to open it up and kind of give us a walkthrough of how it works so we can see exactly what people get to experience when they use it.
Sure. So there's 22 ingredients on the inside here. As you can see, it actually spins around, and there's 22 canisters with individual ingredients that will spin around and then drop into the bowl in order to prepare a salad or a grain bowl or even a yogurt parfait. So it actually hits a lot of different day parts throughout the entire time.
Now, I asked you, Bill, I said, how much or how long do these ingredients stay in there before they're not fresh anymore? What'd you tell me?
So it's about 3 days before an ingredient has to be fully pulled out if we haven't used all of the ingredient yet.
But you think you're going to use them a lot because people have been going through this machine. You said 60 salads a day it can make?
It can make up to 60 salads a day when it's fully stocked, and then from there we can then pull it out. It'll email us when something is actually run out of stock, and then we'll come out and replenish it as it goes.
Why did you guys decide this was something you wanted to do?
Really, it's just part of Jefferson's way of, we want to make sure that there's always something available that's healthy for our patients, for our visitors, as well as for our staff.
Who named her Sally? Was that you, or did she come with their name?
It's actually the name from the company Chowbotics, which is located in California.
So you guys are forward thinking here. I know a few years ago you took some steps to make sure people had healthier options in the cafeteria as well.
Sure. It's been a journey that we've been on where we originally took out fryers from our cafeteria and for the patients as well. We've also included a new healthy food truck that we started about 3 years ago that actually goes out into the community as part of the Jefferson community that goes to different hospitals, as well as the backdrop to other events that they have throughout the community. And then we also just recently also started Simply Good Jars, which is another vending type of solution that offers healthy salad jars as well as other items.
I love it. Okay, so it takes a little long to make, which is why we made one ahead of time. But we can start making one if you guys, Mike and Alex, want to see. Bill can walk you through how quick it is. It's going to take a little time to make, but you can go ahead and build it.
Sure. So we really think of this like a large salad bar that's kind of self-contained. It actually has all the temperature controls and everything else. It actually asks if you have any allergens or anything. And so it can do, like I said, it's yogurt parfaits right now and salads. We can do grain bowls as well.
So you can do a custom bowl or you can do a pre-made bowl already.
Correct, yeah. So there's a lot of predetermined recipes, or you can go in, you can actually even choose that one, and then you can customize from there if you don't like, say, carrots or something else, and you can pick a different ingredient as well. So it'll actually walk you through, and even for dressings, you can choose whether you want kind of light, medium, or heavy dressing, and everything else on it as well. There's all the toppings that you can choose from.
Sally has nothing that she's missed there. So yeah, Mike and Alex, it takes a little bit to make. That's why we made that one ahead of time. Maybe I would say about 3 to 4 minutes, not long of a wait, but isn't that cool? Because, you know, a lot of us on this overnight shift are forgotten sometimes when it comes to healthy food options.
That's true.
Can you see it falling into the bowl?
Yeah, is it like all see-through?
Well, you can't see. I'll tell you this. This panel keeps you from seeing it drop, but your salad drops right here in this, and then you lift this and you pull it out. So you won't be able to see much. That's why I had it done before, so you guys would know what it looked like.
But I didn't, and a parfait too. It didn't have to be
great.
lettuce and all that kind of stuff. Yogurt.
So where in Jefferson is this? So if we want to stop by?
Do I have to be sick?
This is in the building. This is in is the.
Oh, this is the Gibbon building.
The Gibbon building, and so it's up on the second floor in the market atrium area.
Oh, yeah.
Very
I know
nice.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And we are going to take you now over to New York, where Homeland Security is holding a hearing regarding 9/11. Stay with us.
Thank you. I would first like to thank Alice Greenwald and everyone involved in the creation of this special place. I'd like to thank the National September 11 Memorial Museum for hosting this field hearing on hallowed ground, and for providing a sobering and moving and educational tour for committee members and staff last night. I'd also like to thank everyone for attending what I hope will be a thoughtful and informative event. In particular, I would like to thank 3 of the former secretaries of the Department of Homeland Security, Secretaries Chertoff, Napolitano, and Johnson, for their attendance, testimony, and especially their service to this nation. We truly appreciate it. The title of this hearing, 18 years later, the State of Homeland Security after 9/11, describes our goal: to look back and assess what has transpired since that awful day. What actions were taken, what has and what has not been effective, and maybe most important, what has changed. In 2011, the 10th anniversary report card produced by the Bipartisan Policy Center focused on the extent to which the 9/11 Commission's 41 recommendations have been implemented. The report concluded with a reminder that, quote, "We have done much, but there is much more to do." Much work remains because we are living in a world of rapid and dramatic change. It is essential to acknowledge that the world evolves, enemies adapt, new threats and problems emerge. For example, if ISIS existed in 2011, it certainly was not on most people's radar. We were worried about large-scale planned attacks by al-Qaeda, not a terror group using video and social media to inspire lone wolf terrorists. I doubt that the creators of the internet and social media platforms ever contemplated how their innovations could be used for such evil. In his book, Slouching Towards Gomorrah, Robert Bork illustrated how the internet provided an opportunity for previously isolated deviants to connect to others. Social media has sped up the process that Daniel Patrick Moynihan accurately described as, quote, "defining deviancy down." As a result, we have experienced a depressing proliferation of homegrown violent extremists, mass shootings, and domestic terror attacks. Another dramatic shift that has occurred involves the composition of illegal immigration. In 2011, only 3,938 unaccompanied children from Central America were apprehended entering our southwest border illegally. And the phenomenon of families exploiting our laws was so minor we weren't even keeping track of them. 11 months into this fiscal year, more than 69,000 unaccompanied children from Central America and 432,000 family members have been apprehended, with most claiming asylum and being allowed to stay. I use these examples to highlight the evolving complexity of the problems we face and our inability to effectively address them. Unfortunately, there are not many solutions as easy and effective as hardening the cockpit doors. As chairman of this committee, I have attempted to guide us through the problem-solving process, gather information, properly define problems, identify root causes, establish achievable goals, and then, only after completing that work, begin to design workable solutions. Too often in the political realm, solutions are directed toward unachievable goals, and they simply do not reflect reality. The 10th anniversary report card details significant implementation of the 9/11 Commission's 41 recommendations, but those were solutions in response to 9/11. In 2015, this committee's then-ranking member, Senator Tom Coburn, issued a report reviewing the Department of Homeland Security. He detailed $544 million spent by DHS from 2003 to 2014 and criticized the department for, quote, "not successfully executing any of its five main missions." Let me, quick as an aside, mention what those 5 missions are. Prevent terrorism and enhance security. Secure and manage our borders. Enforce and administer our immigration laws. Safeguard and secure cyberspace. Strengthen national preparedness and resilience. And I also have to say, in that report, as harsh as it was not a reflection on the current Secretary Johnson, or past secretaries. In fact, he calls out in that report the management skills and your unity of effort initiative. But it's still a pretty harsh assessment, and after 18 years, it is necessary to ask some hard questions based on experience. For example, is DHS too big? Does it have too many missions? Can we expect one department to be responsible for natural disasters, preventing domestic terror attacks, cybersecurity, protecting critical infrastructure, enforcing immigration laws, securing our borders, investigating counterfeit currency, protecting government officials? Not only does the list go on, but in addition to its operational responsibilities, DHS also reports to 92 congressional committees and subcommittees of jurisdiction, plus another 27 caucuses, commissions, and groups. The complex set of problems our nation faces will not be solved with heated rhetoric in the midst of political squabbling. It will require individuals working together in good faith, as members of this committee have done so often in the past. That's why I am grateful that a bipartisan group of senators has the opportunity to be here today to learn from a bipartisan group of former secretaries. I hope that through this work, we can fairly evaluate past successes and failures and use these assessments to guide future actions and policies designed to secure our homeland. Again, I thank the secretaries and look forward to your testimony. With that, Senator Peters.
Well, thank you, Chairman Johnson, for convening this an important hearing, and thank you to Alice Greenwald and the entire National September 11th Memorial and Museum staff for hosting us here today. I'm also grateful to our former Homeland Security Secretaries for joining us to share your thoughts as well as your expertise. This hallowed space is quiet and peaceful today. We are surrounded by the remnants of the towers that were destroyed and the treasured memories of 2,977 lives taken 18 years ago at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. My colleagues and I had the opportunity to tour the museum and the memorial yesterday, and they experienced this extraordinary tribute to the lives that were lost in the most devastating attack on American soil, tribute to the families who lost their loved ones, and the first responders who so bravely ran into danger to save the lives of others. Behind us is the last column, the final piece of steel that was removed from ground zero after the 9-month-long recovery effort had ended. Today, it stands as a monument honoring the 441 first responders, police, firefighters, and rescue workers who gave their lives in the line of duty. This week, we remember and honor the lives lost on September 11th, 2001, and we must also reflect on the lessons that we have learned in the years since as we work to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again. In the days following September 11th, our nation felt, for the first time, that we were vulnerable to the dangers of a very volatile world. In those frightful days, no one knew what the future would hold, only that we would rise from the rubble, united and resolved to be stronger than ever. It was out of that uncertainty and determination to protect this nation from future attacks that the Department of Homeland Security was founded. The new department, which rapidly grew to be one of our nation's largest federal agencies, was comprised of nearly 24 large and diverse agencies, many of which had operated for decades as independent actors. In the face of tragedy, these organizations, each with their own very unique cultures and histories, coalesced around a very single and focused mission and under one banner. The Department of Homeland Security was created with one primary mission in mind: combating the scourge of terrorism and ensuring that we could say with confidence, never again. However, in the years that have since passed, as the world around us has changed, so too have the challenges facing this great nation and this vital department. Today, DHS confronts a new generation of persistent and evolving threats, more complex and diffuse than we could have possibly imagined just a few years ago. With each passing day, our world becomes more interconnected, cementing the important role cybersecurity plays in our everyday lives. A rise in violence driven by racism, religious discrimination, and other hateful ideologies has altered our perception of domestic terrorism and the threats that they pose. And one of the gravest threats to our national security does not fly a flag or adhere to an ideology. Yet climate change poses an existential threat not just to the United States, but to our entire planet. The Department of Homeland Security is our first line of defense against these and many other challenges, some of which have evolved or risen since this department was created. As the threats to our homeland change, so must the efforts to protect our national security. With nearly 2 decades of lessons learned, the time has come for a clear-eyed assessment of what has worked and what needs to be improved. As we reflect on what the department has accomplished to date, we must consider whether the size and the complexity of DHS can keep pace with the constantly evolving threats of a rapidly changing world. In order to build a more sustainable department and defend ourselves from global threats, we must look to the future. It is not enough to understand the threats of the moment. We must also ensure that DHS is prepared to anticipate and identify those threats arising in the future. This is a very difficult conversation, but one that we must have to keep our country safe and ensure that we never again face a catastrophic event like September 11th.
Thank you, Senator Peters. As the secretaries may be aware, it's our tradition to swear in witnesses, so if you'll all stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you will give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Proceed. Our first secretary is former Secretary Michael Chertoff, who is the founder and executive chairman of the Chertoff Group and is senior of counsel at the law firm Covington & Burling. Mr. Chertoff was the second Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, serving under President George W. Bush. He led the department from 2005 until 2009. Earlier in his career, he was a federal judge on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals and was head of the U.S. Department of Justice's Criminal Division. Secretary Chertoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator Peters and members of the committee. I deeply appreciate and am honored by the opportunity to appear before the committee, and particularly in this setting, which is so meaningful. I also know that in the audience we have a number of senior security officials from the state of New York, the Fire Department of New York, and the Port Authority, which of course is the organization that houses this facility. I also would like to request respectfully that my written testimony be made part of the record.
Without objection.
I have very vivid personal memories of September 11th. Very briefly, I was head of the criminal division, and within minutes after the second plane hit the tower in the World Trade Center, I was at the operations center in the FBI with then FBI Director Bob Mueller, trying to figure out first who had done it, and perhaps more important, how do we stop it from happening again? And I have vivid memories of hearing about the plane that went down in Shanksville, also having heard the order transmitted to shoot the plane down if necessary, something I never would have imagined I would live to hear. Within a matter of days after September 11th, I was here on the site with the Attorney General and the FBI Director touring the rubble, and you could still experience the smell and the visual sights of the destruction, which were almost unimaginable. So for me, this is an opportunity again to remember what is, for the whole country and maybe for the whole world, a seminal event of our lifetimes. It's obviously very appropriate to use the impending anniversary as a way to honor those who died and those who volunteered to run into harm's way to try to protect victims of this attack. Firefighters, police, and then in the weeks and months and years afterwards, those who left the comfort of their homes to volunteer to join the armed forces to continue to protect us against an enemy that was based overseas. But I'm also mindful of what was said previously about the fact that we are coming up on 20 years, a generation of time that has passed since September 11th. And I think about the fact that there are now young folks in college for whom this is a history lesson, not a vivid memory. And so, of course, the question naturally arises, when the next generation comes on the scene, what will they be facing and what will they remember? And will they, God forbid, have another similar event to reflect upon? And I think that is very much, to my mind, the value and the importance of this hearing. What is the next generation going to face, and how do we adapt ourselves to what that might be? So I have basically three brief observations about this. One is, I regard the 9/11 event and some of the events we saw thereafter as what I call terrorism 1.0. That was bin Laden's vision of high-impact events with large mass casualties and very dramatic visual scenes of destruction and death. And I have to say the department and the whole United States government has been quite successful in making sure an attack of that scale has not been successful since September 11th. We came close a couple of times. Some of you will remember the August 2006 airline plot, which we frustrated, which would have blown up 12 airliners leaving Heathrow Airport coming to North America. But it's important that our success not lead us to complacency. Because the enemies of this country still look to the possibility of a mass attack, whether it's explosions, chemical attacks, or biological attacks. And as we saw in the months after 9/11, if you give terrorist organizations a safe haven, they will begin to experiment with chemical weapons, biological weapons, and other kinds of weapons of catastrophe. And it's important that we deny them those safe havens. And I would say, in connection with that, as we look at ongoing discussions with respect to the future of Afghanistan, let's be sure we do not sacrifice our ability to strangle any plots to recreate the labs and the training centers before they get started again. I would also say that we've seen a morphing of terrorism to what I call 2.0 and 3.0. 2.0 being smaller scale attacks like we saw in Mumbai or in the Bataclan nightclub in France, which are coordinated and trained but don't have the scale of a 9/11. And then perhaps even more alarmingly is what I call 3.0, inspired attacks, where people are basically incited over the internet to go out and pick up car keys, guns, or make bombs using the materials in their mother's kitchen in order to kill people randomly, just in order to keep a marker that the terrorists are going to continue to attack. And here I have to say we have not only jihadi terrorists, which are still networked internationally with each other, but we're seeing other ideological terrorists also rising, what we sometimes call domestic terrorism, whether it's white supremacists or other kinds of ideological groups. And even those are not purely domestic.
And we are going to switch you over now to Bensalem, where police are announcing a new initiative aimed at tackling the opioid epidemic. Stay with us.
I saw you getting licked by a dog. Can't beat it, man.
Can I stick my purse down here?
Are you guys trying to make me look good?
Yeah. Matt W.
What's happening?
How are you? Lots of things.
Oh, man.
Come on in. Sure.
That makes me nervous.
I need to ask you. I hear that a lot.
Where do you...
That's fine, right? Yeah. Wow.
Well, there's like a 8 kilo piece.
Great.
I know it's tight, but this is the room where we're actually going to be doing it. All right, you guys ready? Well, thank you for joining us today. Bensalem Township Police Department is announcing a new project in the war on drugs, or the war in trying to get people who are dealing with substance abuse disorder. As you know, about 2 years ago, we started a program called Bensalem Police Assisting in Recovery, BPAIR. And what that enabled us to do is have people come in here anytime and ask for help, and then we were taking them to a treatment center to be evaluated. Police officers would also be on the street being ambassadors of recovery. And when they see people, whether they're involved in crimes or people through other means that needed help, they would ask them to get a part of the BPAIR program so we can get them off of those drugs and stop that vicious cycle. Because as you know, it's not just about arresting people and educating them, it's also about getting people off the drugs and getting them off and getting them cured from this horrible, horrible disease that's plaguing this country and plaguing Bensalem Township like everywhere else in America. But now we've taken it one step further. Bensalem, always being a town of first, always trying to do something new, something different, trying to help our community, and we think we found it. One of the issues that we had trying to get people help is that when they went to get an assessment, it often took hours. And those people that are watching that have been involved in this, and right now it's about 1 out of every 2 Americans has this related in their family, has this directly affected in their family, it takes a long time to get an assessment. Often there's a long waiting period, and then there's a bed search. But we have now taken something that took 4 to 5 hours, and we've got it down to about 20, 25 minutes. And what we're going to demonstrate in a few minutes is a video assessment where people can come into the Bensalem Township Police Department. Right now we're going to pilot it on a Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Once we make sure that the system is working and the system is able to handle the need, we're going to take this 24/7 so that somebody can come in here theoretically as time goes on at 3 o'clock in the morning and get help. Because when you, as you know, when someone needs to get off drugs, when someone has that moment when they're ready to quit, when they're ready to get clean, when they're ready to get cured, when the disease has let its guard down a little bit, that they can get the help, you've got about a 5-minute window before they're going to decide to go get that next hit. You don't have days or hours, you have minutes. And that's how quickly this addiction works and this disease works. So we're going to demonstrate this in about a minute, but this is the first in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, not just in Bucks County, but we had to get special permission from the state to do this, and you'll hear more about that in a few minutes. Let me just introduce some of the people that made this happen. We have our state representative, who is chairman of the Health and House Services Committee, Human Services Committee in Harrisburg, Gene DiGirolamo, our mayor, Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo, who allows all the extra stuff we do to happen. Aaron Pressel from Gardenzia, Matt Weintraub, everybody knows, our district attorney. Of course, we have Diane Rosati, our executive director of the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission. And what you'll hear about also in a few minutes making this happen is Anne-Marie Murphy, who represents the Caitlin Murphy Foundation, and she'll talk about that in a few minutes. But one of the things that we've done with the Caitlin Murphy Foundation is that once people get assessed and it is decided where they're going to go for treatment, instead of waiting for transportation to come here, we've partnered with the Caitlin Murphy Foundation, who has provided, I'll say unlimited because I know there's more, transportation to get people from here to the treatment center, working through Uber and things of that nature. So this is, again, we're looking at everything outside the box to make this work. We're looking for every possible tool to get people help. So without further ado, I'd like our state representative, Gene DiGirolamo, to say a few words.
Thank you, Fred. This is so important. I mean, this is just a disease, and addiction is a disease that is in a crisis situation. And I'm just tired and sick of talking to parents and family members that have dead children and dead family members because of this dreaded disease. And we're talking about the heroin and the opiates. And it's so important to realize that treatment works. Treatment is highly successful if you get the right treatment for the proper length of stay, and that is so important. And I want to applaud Fred and the police department, the mayor, Diane Rossetti's here, who's our SCA in Bucks County, for the good work that they're doing. But as Fred said, when somebody wants to get into treatment, you got to get them in as soon as possible. And the other part is, even though they want treatment and they get assessed, how are you going to pay for it? And that's always a consideration, and that's why I also love Gardenzia, and there's some members out there. They do just such a terrific job of finding a way to pay for the treatment that they're going to get. So this is a great partnership, and I want to applaud everybody who's involved. And as a parent who went through this with a son, I know how difficult this can be. And I applaud everybody for putting this program together, because it is so needed for the people, not only here in Bensalem, but across Bucks County. Thank you.
Our Mayor DiGirolamo.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Certainly today is another milestone here in Bensalem, with our police department leading the way with a partnership. Teams win. That's always my theory, that teams win, and we certainly put a team together here to accomplish this, and I know it will be accomplished, to give people treatment quicker than they could get it, and maybe not get it at all. So I want to thank Gardenzia for being there, certainly Diane with Bucks County, and our police department for making a team here, everybody working together, because that's how we're going to get it done. Bensalem leads the way on this. Bensalem is the first municipality to come and start lawsuits against the pharmaceuticals. So we want to make sure that we give our police and everyone the tools that they can do to eradicate this, as our representative is a disease. So today is a first, and a demonstration will come, and it'll be my first time for seeing it. So I want to thank everybody, the whole team, everybody working together here in Bensalem. We will make it work. Hopefully it goes countywide and maybe across the country. So we're very, very thrilled at this happening here today, and we look forward to the results.
Our District Attorney, Matt Weintraub.
Thank you. I want to commend Bensalem Township and the Police Department for being the leaders here in the progressive battle that we face every day. I think we all know common sense dictates that the way to win this battle is to eliminate demand. And the best way to eliminate demand for illicit substances, controlled substances, is to get people treatment when they are absolutely most ready to, when they need it and are most ready to accept it. But unfortunately, in those instances, time is not on our side and distance can be deadly. And that's what makes this program so wonderful. It's the triple P, I call it, the public-private partnership. You have Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission, you have the Caitlin Murphy Foundation, Bensalem Township, and the Police Department. You have the state all chipping in here and collaborating, coming together to essentially eliminate that time and distance barrier that has prevented so many people from treatment and frankly from survival. We've now bridged that gap. People can now be, it's telemedicine essentially at its most necessary. People can now be filmed on TV, they can have their assessment on TV, and then once they are assessed on TV, you've got the Caitlin Murphy Foundation stepping in and providing rides for people to get from when they are at their lowest right into treatment. And to me, that's a win, and this is how we're going to win and solve this problem once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Diane Rosati.
Thank you. Good morning. At the Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission, our motto is, we are here to help all Bucks County residents. So without the support of the Pennsylvania Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs and their Secretary Jennifer Smith, this project would not be made possible. So first I'd like to thank Secretary Smith, in addition, the District Attorney, Bensalem Police Department, and Bensalem leadership for understanding that substance use disorders are a disease and that treatment is not only effective, but that recovery is possible, and in fact, recovery is likely for many individuals. Thanks to the Caitlin Murphy Foundation, who is a fantastic example of what the power of the community can be, and so we thank Anne Marie Murphy and the Caitlin Murphy Foundation. And finally, to Cadenzia, who's our 24/7 access point in Bensalem, in Bristol. Thank you so much for leaning in on this project. So this project is being launched. It is a telehealth project, the first of its kind in Pennsylvania, and we're so proud that it's occurring as a pilot in Bensalem. It's being launched during September, which is National Recovery Month, and the motto of National Recovery Month is, "Together we are stronger." So thanks to everyone for your interest. We look forward to the results of this project and helping our Bensalem residents to access services even sooner and begin their lifelong recovery. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Erin Russell.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out to see this today. This is really important to Gaudenzia and our partners. We've traditionally been a big supporter of law enforcement and particularly pre-arrest diversion programs, which we're involved in a lot of different police departments. Bensalem has been wonderful with us. They've been a pioneer on a lot of things that they're doing. We really appreciate their support. Also, the Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs, they have been wonderful to give us this waiver to be able to do the telemedicine. So it's really important work. This started as a discussion at a conference that we had down in Florida for PTAC, which is Police Treatment and Community Collaborative. And we talked about reducing barriers and what would that look like. And the barriers that we're reducing here are keeping law enforcement keeping law enforcement on the street. We are reducing barriers for transportation, which is very important for our folks to be able to get into treatment quicker, and also the length of time that it takes for somebody to get an assessment. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and we look forward to having this project move forward. Thanks.
And last but certainly not least, Anne Marie Murphy.
Thank you so much for having us today. I am the president of the Caitlin Murphy Foundation. Caitlin was my sister-in-law who we lost 7 years ago to a heroin overdose. And after staying silent for 5 years because of the stigma surrounding addiction, we've decided to speak out and turn our family tragedy into community change. And we are so proud to partner with the Bucks County Police Departments to offer transportation through these mobile assessments to a treatment center. We are just thrilled to work with Bucks County Drug and Alcohol Commission, along with our state representatives and the mayor and Gaudenzia. This is truly an incredible group that we have here, and it's definitely groundbreaking, and we are absolutely honored to be a part of it. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Amory. Thank you so much.
Play around here.
Yeah, so we're going to back out so we can show how this works. So you would come into the Ben Salem Township Police Department. You would be met by an individual. We have a lot of staff trained and sitting with the individual. And what we have is navigators, and they're community volunteers. They would be called, and they would come in, and they would sit with the person who wants to get help. We would check them. If you have drugs on you, you will not be arrested. We will take the drugs from you and the drug paraphernalia, but you will not be arrested for those drugs. We ask that you turn them over to us. We'll just make sure that you don't have anything on you, because we can't have, obviously, people overdosing in the police station, and we can't have drugs in the building. But you will not be arrested. So that's key. This is not about arresting and tricking people. We just want to get people off the drugs. So then you would come into this room. We have a couple of packets of paper that we would fill out with the individual. It takes about 5 minutes. Basically, it gives Gaudenzia some basic information, some baseline information, and permission to talk to them, also permission to do searches for treatment, and they have all that documentation. So that's emailed and faxed to Gaudenzia. We would then come in here simply, and we would hit go. The screen would pop up. It's a remote waiting room. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Don't forget to click on your start video. There you go.
Good afternoon. We have someone for you that's in need of some help, and we want to try to get them into treatment if possible.
Absolutely. I'm going to have Danielle, our assessor, step in and go through a brief assessment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm playing both roles here.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm hoping to get some help. I got to get off these drugs. It's killing me.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Fred Herron.
Okay, Fred. And what brought you in tonight to ask for help?
Yeah, I've hit rock bottom. I've been thrown out. I've got nowhere to go. I've lost my job. I've lost my family. My parents won't take me in. This is it. If I stay on these streets, I'm gonna die.
Okay, very good. We'll get you help, Fred, okay?
Thank you.
What are you struggling with right now?
Heroin.
Heroin? Okay. How much are you using daily?
I'm about 4 bags a day.
And how long's that been going on for? How long's this run been?
It's been on and off for 2-3 years. I've been in and out of treatment, but it's been a year since I tried to get help again. But this is it. I mean, back then I was able to get in the house and steal, but now I have nothing, and I lost my job, and I have nobody, and I can't take this anymore.
Okay, Fred. How do you use heroin?
Intravenously. I shoot up.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have any history of seizures, blackouts, DTs, going through withdrawal?
No, nothing.
Okay. Any communicable diseases?
No.
Okay. How old were you when you started heroin?
I don't even remember. Probably 5 years ago, I guess. I was 50.
Okay. And were there pills before heroin?
Yeah, pills. I was in a car accident. I got some pills through the doctor, and then that stopped, and I still needed that feeling.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. And do you have any allergies to Suboxone, Subutex during withdrawal or during treatment? Or?
No, nothing.
Very good. Okay. And any other health concerns you may have?
No, nothing.
Okay. Okay, Fred. So based on just that brief assessment, you do meet criteria for a detox level of care. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to gather all your contact information, and I'm going to start looking for a bed for you, and we're going to get you help, okay?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Fred.
So at this point, the bed search, depending on, would be other questions, insurance, non-insurance. If I had no insurance, sometimes they're able to find some stuff a little quicker. But they're not under arrest, they're not incarcerated. So right now they would go with the navigator because I have to get police back to policing, and we're in a secure area here. So they can't sit here and just stay here for an hour or however long it might take, could be a half hour. So they're going to go back into the waiting room with the navigator and a portable telephone that we have. And then Gordenzia will call us back and let us know the status of where they can go. What we've done is we've expanded our abilities to travel through the Caitlin Murphy Foundation, so I'm not worried about an hour and a half or a 2-hour drive at this point. If that's the closest bed, that's where we're going to go. We're gonna try to get them help. And you hear a lot of stories about no beds available. You got to just know where to look sometimes, and you got to. We're working with a lot of different organizations and a lot of people out there that are trying to work together to bring this together to make sure that anybody that walks in these doors, the last thing I want is for them to leave here unsatisfied or that we didn't help and they're going to go get their next high, and that could be their last.
Is this just for people that want to turn themselves in and get help, or is it also for those that you pick up on the street that have committed a crime?
This is not for court ordered. Oh, is Matt still out there?
Matt is not. He's on the phone.
Oh, he's on the phone.
He's on the phone.
This is not court ordered. This is all voluntary treatment. So in Pennsylvania, if you're a misdemeanor or less, a misdemeanor 2 or a misdemeanor 3, you're not arraigned before a judge that night. So if someone's arrested for a minor crime, they're going to be still arrested for that crime. This isn't a get out of jail free card. So they would still might be arrested for that crime, but then they would be offered. That's all right. Oh, there he is. They would still be offered help, and we can get them help, and they still have to pay the piper, and then we'll be up to the district attorney's office. So the question was, if we arrest someone, this isn't a lieu of arrest, but as I'm saying, if someone's getting treatment, it might be a softer landing with a judge if they're in the treatment. So I certainly will let the DA comment on anything regarding what that means to someone that volunteers treatment for M3s or M2s where we summon someone and they're not going before a judge that night. This could be beneficial to them at the end.
I can say that our bench, the judges on our bench, are in favor of getting people to treatment as quickly as possible. Treatment is really the way that we're going to solve this issue. Incarceration is not the answer. So any chance, any opportunity we can get to expand a program like this, once we iron all the bugs out of it, I can only imagine, I can't speak for the courts, but I can only imagine that this would be an excellent resource that could be used by our court system to immediately divert somebody to treatment when that's most imperative.
Fred, is this only for Ben Salem residents?
It's only for Ben Salem residents, or we have in Ben Salem a unique situation that the rest of the county isn't faced with, and that is 50% of the hotel rooms in Bucks County are in Ben Salem Township. So we have some of the hotels up in the Route 1 corridor that people use that as their address, where that might not be where they're from originally, but we're going to take them. We're going to take them. But no, you can't, if you're clearly a Montgomery County or Philadelphia resident, you're just driving, we can't overload our system. So what we're hoping is this becomes a model, and as you heard, I think it was the district attorney said, telemedicine, we're going to announce in about 6 weeks another program. We're taking this further. It's already in the works, but we're going to be announcing another program regarding telemedicine. And we just don't, every day we look for some way new to do our jobs, and this is certainly one way. But right now it's for Bensalem folks.
Is the telemedicine program related to drugs, or is that something different?
This?
No, the one in 6 weeks.
That's you'll know in 6 weeks.
Well, mention it now.
Right, can you give us an idea, since BPAIR started, how many people have been coming in, whether it's a total or...
About 70 since the beginning. Not as many. I thought when we first, and BPAIR, it all started on a weekend for us. So somebody, one of the secretaries, Anne-Marie, my secretary, not Anne-Marie Murphy, sent me, hey, look at this program out of Gloucester, Massachusetts. It's called the Angel Program. And I'm like, this can't be real. This is like crazy. And it's real. And it was people coming into police stations. And Gloucester is 60 minutes out of Boston. Well, I'm 60 seconds out of Philadelphia. So I thought we were basically going to be opening up the gates of hell and bringing people in. And it didn't happen that way. 70 over the last 2 years or so is not a lot. And a lot of our cops, as I said earlier, are ambassadors. We arrest people for retail theft, for other crimes, and they're all committing crimes because of drugs. 80% of the people we arrest it resorts back to drugs somehow. And being in the purest opioid capital of the United States, the Philadelphia, the Delaware Valley, and you've all done stories, in Philadelphia. That bleeds over into the suburbs. That bleeds over into Bucks and Montgomery, Chester, and Delaware. So we're going to deal with it as much as we can, and this is just one way of getting people help.
Are you launching this today? When are you launching this?
We're launching as soon as you guys leave.
Okay.
This is launched. This is launched today. We are operational. We did a whole bunch of tests with Gardenzia. Gardenzia has been an incredible partner. I know their new CEO is out in the hallway as well. Dale Cluster. He left. But their new CEO, so this Gardenzia is a big organization, and it just shows their support every single day. Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
So, if you have more questions about Gardenzia, I would certainly, pass the mic over to Gardenzia. But they've been a huge, huge partner. This doesn't happen without these drug treatment centers, and you hear a lot of people. I don't want this in my neighborhood. Right now, the crisis that we're facing, if we ignore it and bury our head in the sand, it's going to get worse. It's not going away on its own. If you think you're going to wake up like Rip Van Winkle and it'll all be over, you're sadly mistaken. This is not going away. This is only going to get worse. The drugs are only flowing into our country more and more. There's some stats that the drug problem is our numbers are reducing, our deaths are reducing. That's because of Narcan. We're prolonging it. But our overdoses, I believe we had 4 or 5 just since Friday night in Bensalem.
Fatal?
No, not fatal. I don't know if we had any fatals, but I know we had 4 or 5 overdoses since Friday night. We had 2 last night, so we had 1 this morning. I was in the car. I heard one. So that was 3, and I know there was a couple for Friday and Saturday. So it's probably numbers could be higher than that, but it doesn't go away, and the problem's not getting any worse, and not getting any better, rather. Do you have any questions for Gardenzia? Because there would be more.
So is Gardenzia just going to kind of be the middle person, like you're going to be the one to find the bed? It might not necessarily be with Gardenzia, it's just going to be.
So Gardenzia will be responsible for placing that person, whether it be with us or with somebody else. We'll do the brief assessment. We'll determine if they are in need of detox. If they're not, they'll get a full assessment then. And then we'll determine what kind of treatment that they do need.
What about in special cases like with pregnant women? I know for a fact that those beds are very few and often filled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do have special services for women, pregnant women, and women with children. Mm-hmm. And we have actually a lot of them in the state of Pennsylvania. A couple in Philadelphia, one in Lancaster, one in Northumberland County, one in Erie. So we can place somebody wherever in the state that they need to go.
When it comes to teleconferencing and evaluation, is there any drawbacks or advantages from your perspective rather than doing this in person?
I think that the advantages is especially with people that live in rural areas or have no transportation or can't get there, that we can see them on the screen just like it was face to face. They don't have to travel to get to us, and we can determine what they need basically right from that video conference. I don't see any drawbacks really to this process. I don't. It's going to be quicker. It's going to be easier. A lot of people now in the demographics that we serve are on their phone all day. They're using their phone, so they could do it right from their phone if we expand the process. So we're just looking forward to hopefully reducing these barriers and helping folks get to where they need to be as easily as possible.
We're doing arraignments, prisoners, everything's being done on video. I mean, we've got to keep up with the technology. So the technology is there, and certainly this is just one more way of getting people help. When we sat around a year and a couple of months ago talking about this, it was just a thought, I don't know if we could do this. The state, we had to get special permission, and I'm like, well, we got to do this. This is
Can you explain the special permission a little bit? What did that involve?
I'll have Diane Rosati come up and talk about that.
The overall funder for the project is the Pennsylvania Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs, DDAP. So in order for our single county authority to be involved and to fund a project like this, we had to submit a waiver request to DDAP, specifically linking Ben Salem Police Department through video link for telehealth to Gaudenzia Lower Bucks. So the link at this point is just between the two. And so we were able to articulate that we had some barriers to services to access, and they completely understood that we want to reduce the barriers, and they do too. So they were very willing to give this a try as we are. We're introducing this as a pilot and hope it'll be replicated not just in Ben Salem, but throughout all of Bucks County, maybe statewide.
Okay.
We, through Diane's efforts, if you came in through the lobby, we have a screen going there with Narcan training. So you can come into the Ben Salem Police Department any time of the day, any day of the week, and get free Narcan. What makes this now, well, that's not a big deal because everybody's doing Narcan gateway, only on certain days. We're doing it anyway, every day. But part of the deal was we had to have continuous training going. So I'm like, well, get a monitor and put it on a loop and put headphones on. How much more training do you need? So, did somebody come in at 3 o'clock in the morning, get their Narcan and saved a loved one's life? There's no reason, there's no barriers to stop us from saving lives. I don't want to hear, well, we got some red tape, we got some paperwork, well, the state never did it this way. There were those that told Columbus, don't go, you'll fall off. And he proved the world was round. You get it? Flat? So, we're going to keep pushing on. We're going to keep pushing on, and we're going to make sure that we do everything possible to explore new ideas to save lives. Anything else? So folks will be in the hallway. I know this was a tight room. If you want to ask specific questions, thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Sure.
Hey, you gave me a crazy look.
I always give you a crazy look. What are you talking about?
Does anybody else, TV-wise, want her to redo the questions with the mic here? Because I'm going to ask for that.
And that is going to do it for us today at Fox 29's News Now. Be sure to catch us again tomorrow at 10 a.m. and follow us at fox29.com, as well as our mobile app and across social media. And thank you for joining us this morning.